10, 9.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Get ready for two guys who can't handle the truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
But we can. Dave Palumbo, Chris Aceto. RxMuscle.com presents Heavy Muscle Radio. Watch out!
Welcome to another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the technician, live from the Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio, Chris Aceto. Chris, the athletes just stepped off stage minutes ago, and we have a new champion. Was it a surprise that William Bonac snagged the win?
Not at all.
No.
Nope.
After prejudging, it was pretty unanimous, huh?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I thought it was unanimous. I didn't see the score sheets. I'd be shocked if they weren't straight ones.
Mm-hmm. I just happen to have the score sheets right in front of me.
It was a bigger, rounder, gnarlier William Bonac than I think even at the Olympia. You know?
That's saying a lot.
But people should be scared.
So this guy's for real. Look, a lot of us, you and I both said that he certainly should have won, or should have placed second, at the Mr. Olympia contest ahead of Big Ramy. He was ahead after prejudging. He's the most, I guess you could say he's the most dominant guy, in terms of moving up the ranks over the last several years. He's just gotten better and better. He's won, every show except the Olympia and the Arnold. Now he's got an Arnold Classic victory, knocking off Dexter Jackson, who's a five-time champion. This has to validate him. Of course, the wild card in this lineup was always Cedric McMillan, and we'll get to him in a minute. And Cedric, has consistency issues, as we've talked about, and we said that, if Cedric doesn't really show up the way he needs to, William Bonac is the guy to beat here. So let's talk about William Bonac. What made him so great at this Arnold Classic?
Muscle fullness extraordinaire. Density that's should be very scary to people who have to stand on the Olympia stage next to him.
How tall is he? Do you know how tall Bonac is?
About Dexter's height, whatever that is.
5'7", maybe 5'8".
Yep, max. And he really improved. This is the best he's looked in from behind. Mm-hmm. He's brought up his back width a lot. Either he brought it up a lot, which, it's when you think about it, how much muscle could he really have added since the Olympia? Or he's just hitting his poses differently that makes it look like he's brought it up a lot. But the back lat spread, which I think previously had some, gave his body, a short torso look or like a stubby look. Mm. That problem is far behind. The
reason I'm asking your opinion is because I was not there, as people may have realized. Chris, you held down the fort with Raphael Noble, taking all the pictures, and I know that Tad, the dye coach, was a tremendous help with the wrap-ups, as well as Aaron Singerman helped you out for the night show finals, and the mind himself, Milos Shorshev, found some time for us as well, so great job over there. Now, I know all these guys lie about their weight. Lonnie Teeper's famous for saying that these guys all add 10 pounds. What do you think that Bonac weighed on stage, if you had to take a guess?
237?
Yeah, I would say he's probably in the 230s. I don't think he was any bigger than that. If he says he's 245, I think he's lying.
Yeah, 237, it's plenty enough.
Which is amazing. Who would have thought, that a guy of his height, a guy who really was a 212 guy who kind of came out of nowhere and everyone was criticizing for doing the open class. Who would have thought that this guy would step in and be a major threat to win the Mr. Olympia title? I certainly wouldn't.
Yeah, I thought he was a major threat from the minute I saw him years ago to be a 212 Mr. Olympia.
Right, you didn't think he'd be an open Mr. Olympia.
No. And when he moved to the Open, I thought he's going to be a perennial 7th to 10th guy. Mm-hmm. And he's just proven that he's a factor.
And he's consistent.
He's proven that once in a while I'm actually wrong. And he's just I can't say enough good things about him because he is tremendously dangerous. People should be afraid of him. You know, if you're a bodybuilder and you're going to the Olympia, if you're Ramy and you're Phil, you're Sean Roden, you're Dexter, you know, you should be afraid.
What is so dangerous about William Bonac on that stage? I mean, what makes him? Is it
Muscle
his consistency?
Bellies. Muscle bellies.
Okay.
No, it's muscle bellies. That's what makes him dangerous. His muscle bellies make him dangerous, and the photos won't show it. And anyone who looks at photos and has Dexter winning, you know, they're just Instagram, you know, goofs.
Right.
Because, you know, he, as I said in the wrap up, he put his foot down at this show and said, you know, I am 1,000% for real. I can show up in shows a few months after my best showing ever and show improvements. I think he had a lot of composure here, which was interesting. I think that he presented himself as a winner without appearing cocky, even though he is cocky.
Which is fine because he's very sure of himself. Right. I like that, actually. Because you know what? He delivers. I like guys that are cocky and brag and then actually deliver the goods. You know, look at Andre Ferguson, who won the men's physique. I mean, he's the same way, very confident in himself. The best interview you'll ever get. You know, I love interviewing this guy because he's so confident in himself, but he delivers. Now, if you're cocky and you don't deliver, you sound like a moron and everyone makes fun of you, you know? So,
you know, he's
all right, let me ask you the same question I asked you last year after Cedric won. William Bonac, how does he compare with Phil Heath at this coming Olympia? Can he beat him? And why?
No, he can't.
Why not?
Because Phil is great, because Phil has a level of conditioning and a level of cartoonness that even William doesn't have. You know, William has a spectacular side chest. I put Phil's up against him all day long and pick Phil. William has a spectacular side tricep, even though he hits it a little unconventional. But right. Phil's, you know, I mean, think of Phil's side tricep, the roundness to it. And then when you move to the back, you know, Bonac's not putting Phil away on any back shots. As very impressive as Bonac is. Can
Bonac put him away from the front, though? I mean, because that's where Phil's vulnerability is. The front, the ab thigh, the front double hasn't looked so great, or the lat spread recently, you know.
No, because Bonac doesn't have the greatest front lat spread to it. He's still a little pinched, right? Mm-hmm. You know, and you know, on the frontal bicep, Phil's got the big arms, you know.
Right.
You know, and I know Phil's front double. There's a disconnect actually. In real life, his front double is still impressive. In pictures, it sucks.
Yeah, I think he's dangerous to Phil because they match up well. You know, it's not like a big Ramy who's so much bigger and taller, or a Cedric who's also very big and tall. I think it's more dangerous because now you can start making comparisons 1-to-1. But like you said, Phil is a little bigger. You know, he's got a little bit more freakiness. I think it's going to be a very exciting Olympia. But who would have thought, like, you know, 10 years ago when we were seeing Ronnie and Dorian winning the Olympia, that we would have, you know, two guys that are not the tallest guys, that are not the biggest guys, you know, vying for the Olympia title. I mean, I don't think anyone could have predicted that, you know?
Yeah. Well,
now, obviously, if Ramy comes in and blows away the field and wins the Olympia, then all my theories, you know, go down the tubes, because then you're talking about, you know, Haney versus Sean Ray, you know, and Lee Labrada. You know, it becomes the same like type of comparison. Yeah. So, well, Bonac did it. More interestingly, I find is Dexter Jackson, because here's a guy who's 48 now. He had the opportunity to win his 6th Arnold USA. Came very close to doing it too. What was good about Dexter? What was not so good about Dexter? And do you see any signs of aging in this guy?
I don't see any signs of aging. I think that he was. I've been, oddly enough, very critical of his spindly legs the last 2 Olympias, and his legs from the front were way fuller,
right,
than they've been. And in the wrap-up, you know, interestingly, I think someone made the comment that, well, he didn't have the separation, and Milo said he's never been known for deep separation in his quads.
Yeah,
so
true.
you can't use that as a knock against him.
Right.
So his quads from the front were definitely, absolutely, unequivocally, surprisingly improved, because that was the first thing I wanted to look at is like, okay, what's his legs going to look like?
Right.
His back double bicep was completely on point. Very full, very dense. Improved over the Olympia, because I think at the Olympia, the last 2 Olympias, he's had a, quote, thin look to his body.
Right.
He was full. He was round. He just ran into Bonac.
Was he not sharp enough? I mean, the abs, usually we're so used to seeing Dexter's abs ridiculous.
No, his abs have not been ridiculous for a few years. He was sharp. It's just that he ran into, an improved Bonac. I mean, he was sharp. No matter what anyone says, his glutes and hamstrings were as sharp as they've been. His back detail was very, very, very good. His most muscular, maybe his most muscular for Dexter, could have been sharper. But in terms of a strategy for coming into the show, I think it's a great strategy, because I think he wouldn't have. I think if he tried to come in 5 pounds less, he would have been back down to like my criticism of, well, his legs are weak. I mean, how sharp does he really need to come in?
Right. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
He
looked big. Now, according to what I've been hearing, and of course I don't have any validation from Dexter, because Dexter doesn't talk to us, but unless we see him in person, but George was or was not helping Dexter, because I heard that Don Long was helping Dexter.
God only knows, dude, right?
What's the scoop? You were there. You were on the ground. I'm just a dumb guy sitting behind a computer.
I was texting Don, and Don was with
Dexter the whole weekend, right?
Dexter the whole weekend. So unless he was, the coffee boy, like Trump's, Russian spy was supposedly just a coffee boy. I mean, when the contest prep guru guy is with you the whole entire weekend,
Right. Well, I know Don said he was with him, and he couldn't even do the Friday wrap up with you because he was with him.
Yeah, that's right. And he, I asked him what he looked like. He said spot on Thursday. Yeah. I asked DJ what Dexter looked like on Thursday, and he said spot on also.
Interesting. Do you think he got worse or better for the show? You think maybe he was in shape too quickly? I don't know. What would you say? Why didn't he beat Bonac? That's what I want to know.
Bonac's better.
Okay. What about a Dexter from 10 years ago? Would he have beat Bonac?
No.
Really? No. So that's saying a lot.
No.
So you're saying Bonac's the real deal?
Bonac is the real deal. End of story.
That's a compliment to both of these guys, because that means Dexter did his best and so did Bonac, and Bonac was just better.
There's nothing negative to the look that Dexter brought to this show. Right. Period.
Now let me ask you this. I know I saw George Farah was at the show.
Yeah.
You ran into him at some point. How's he doing? I think a lot of people want to know.
George, I took a 20-minute nap that turned into 3.5 hours, and I woke up and I said, "Wait, how can it be like 8:30?"
Yeah.
So I started to run over to the show, and everyone's at the show, so like the auditorium, going over to the show, it's like a mortuary.
Yeah.
And I'm going down the escalator, and I see George at the bottom of the escalator, and he looked horrible.
Oh, really? So he's not feeling too good still.
He's definitely not feeling good. He looked terrible. I stopped and you know me, typically if he felt a little bad, if he felt bad, I'd tease him,
Right.
Which I would have loved to have teased him. I would have loved to say, George,
right,
what's happening? With Dexter, give him the needle.
Sure.
But he was really not
feeling good.
Looking good at all, and
it's a draining weekend. It's a draining weekend when you're healthy.
I don't. It was. I think something's. Listen. It's a draining weekend. I'm tired. A 20-minute nap turns into 3.5 hours. He was not. That there's something. He's not healthy right now.
Really, I'm gonna have to reach out to him. Maybe we can get him to do an interview. Yeah, wasn't he on Good Morning America or something like that?
I don't know. I heard he was supposed to be on Good Morning America.
to talk about it, how he beat cancer. Well, like I said, it doesn't. You don't just better than anyone. I don't have to even tell you. I'm sure when you were cleared of being cancer free. I'm sure you didn't feel good for the first year or two, probably after you.
It takes forever. It takes
right?
takes 3 years.
Yeah. I can understand. I mean, it's a very traumatic thing to go on in your body. All right, let's talk about Cedric McMillan, who I was potentially predicting that could win this show if he brought the goods. He was third, so he obviously looked good. But what didn't he bring? And if he did bring his best, would he have won this show?
I think Cedric had a layer of fluid on him, and he was not full enough.
And I just want to preface, you didn't work with him for the show, right?
No.
Okay.
No. So the lack of fullness, and interestingly, the mind said, maybe he needs to be fuller, and I said, well, that
maybe Emil should put him on the insulin protocol.
It may work,
Made for him. He's a big guy. He's like a Dennis Wolf, right?
Yeah.
I think we should recommend that he goes out to see Milos there, and there's the Milos insulin protocol. Speaking of Milos, how did the insulin protocol work for Heath? Because Heath Yamagishi went up from the 212. He tried to pull a William Bonac, and I think he weighed like 40 pounds more than he did at the 212 level.
Worked like a charm.
Yeah, it did. So he looked good. He didn't make the top 6, but he did look good.
He looked absolutely fabulous.
Okay, good. Whatever Milos did work.
He was rock hard.
Okay. I think Heath is just a better bodybuilder at a higher body weight.
I always said that. I mean, I said that in the wrap up to Milos. I said if they move the 212 class to make it a 220 class, then it's good for Heath. But Heath, to me, frankly, I've always found him completely unimpressive as a 212 bodybuilder, and I find him to be impressive as an open guy. It's weird, because he just can't get, you can get your weight to a point, and you can think, oh, I'll be sharper. He's no sharper. He's not sharp at 212.
Right.
He just got fake sharpness, like low body fat, but it's, missing muscle.
We criticized that. Meanwhile, he won the Arnold Classic at 212,
Yeah.
Although controversially, but it was, he still won it. So maybe he should stick with 212. I don't know what the answer to that question is. So Cedric is just not getting the right combination. You and I have discussed this before. It's a very fine line between getting Cedric lean enough, because he can't get shredded, because if he gets shredded, he's too flat. Getting him lean enough to show a lot of detail in his physique, and full enough to show that roundness, kind of like what Dennis Wolf's dilemma.
Well, the size that he had last year, he would have done by Dexter. That I know. But
maybe not Bonac, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm a Bonac fan all of a sudden.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's saying a lot.
I'm a regretful Bonac fan.
Regretful. I can't wait. At some point, I really want to interview Bonac. I know they got. I don't.
Oh, I told Neil. I said, Neil. He did with AMI. I'm like, Neil, you want the best interview of all time? I'm going to interview Bonac with you,
right?
Because I know I know his history,
right?
Especially Bonac
with the
Bonac was in 212s when my 212 guys were beating him.
Right. Yeah, the funny thing is that Flex Magazine announced this past weekend that they're out of business, that they're combining, with Muscle and Fitness.
Whatever, they're out. They're gone. Goodbye.
They're gone, but they still have athletes. I don't know how they have athletes.
Why? Whatever.
What are the athletes representing at this point? If there's no magazine,
they represent the 3 issues a year that come out.
No, there's no more issues a year coming out.
Okay, then they represent nothing.
I guess they just represent AMI. Maybe they'll put them in the Star National Enquirer.
I said they can go to the National Enquirer and have a little column, William Bonac, how he preps for bodybuilding shows.
If anything, what they should do is they should make these guys wear the clothing for Flex Magazine and just do interviews with other people.
What do you know, Dave? What are you talking about? You don't know anything. You look crazy.
But that would be better branding than anything. If I have a show that gets, that Bonac is getting 100,000 hits on, and he's wearing a Flex Magazine shirt, I mean, that's great branding, for them.
Well, maybe we should do like National Enquirer and say William Bonac abducted by aliens. do like a RxMuscle show, like pretend it's real.
You know what though? I feel bad for these former magazines, because they were our Bible. They were our religious, they were our gods, when we were growing up, essentially. And it's not a viable business model anymore. And so, obviously, thank God that AMI runs the Olympia. I mean, that's something that they could pour.
Thank God people
everything
love
into.
doctors so that they can afford to still run the Olympia.
Well, I think the Olympia is the only thing, is one of the few things that they do that's making them money. So at this point, it doesn't behoove
they
them.
got the National Enquirer and Star Magazine.
Well, I'm just talking about as far as bodybuilding. The bodybuilding title magazines don't do anything. No one reads magazines, but the Olympia brand, now that they own the Olympia 100%. I mean, they're doing these amateur Olympias. Maybe they should do more pro Olympias. I don't know. It seems like a good business model. They get a lot of sponsors. Robin Chang does a good job with that Olympia and makes them a lot of money. So, I mean, that's a moneymaker.
Maybe AMI can get like Stormy Daniels to be at the booth, at one of the booths or something. Get Aaron. Aaron.
Aaron would have Stormy Daniels.
You can have Stormy Daniels at the Redcon 1 booth, and it will just be, it'll be insane. Meet the lady who was paid off by Donald Trump's, lawyer.
Yeah. I haven't edited the video for the final wrap up. By the time people listen to the show, it'll be up, of course. But I know Aaron did the final wrap up with you for the Saturday night show, and he told me he was going to be very controversial. Was he?
Well, no, but I did ask him. I said, "What do you predict for the Olympia, other than that they're going to ask you for like a ton of money to sponsor it?"
Yeah. What did he say?
He laughed.
Oh, he didn't give you a prediction?
He wasn't that controversial.
He wasn't. Okay. Who is more controversial, Milos or him?
No, I don't think anyone was controversial. I just think it was great analysis.
Right, because I think that pretty much everyone agreed with the placings. Is that?
Yeah, we all agreed straight. The judging was smack on.
Roelly Winklaar.
Roelly used the magic mirrors.
Okay, so he didn't bring what we thought he could bring or what we were seeing in the pictures.
Why did I brand it the magic mirror?
Well, we always said that, look, Roelly Winklaar is another Dennis James in a tank top or in pictures in the gym. You think the guy is gonna rule the world. I mean, he's the freakiest guy in the gym you'll ever see. I mean, there's no one right now on the planet who is competing that's better than Roelly Winklaar in the gym, and that's just because he's got the freak factor. Did it not translate on stage well, or could he have been better conditioned? Like, what was wrong with him?
Well, the pictures that we see are under the ideal lighting to make you extremely big.
But he is big. He is big, though. He is big.
Huh?
He's very big still. I mean, I'm looking at the pictures from the show. He's big. Is he just not aesthetically big?
He's Roelly. I mean, he looked good.
I mean,
he looked good, but he just, I knew that the Roelly in those pictures is not, what you're going to see on stage.
I'll tell you what I see in the pictures. Once again, I wasn't there, so I don't like to. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I see a ton of muscle. I see tremendous conditioning. I don't see things popping as much, but he looks. I don't think there's another bodybuilder on the planet, including Big Ramy, who's bigger than this guy. Am I correct in that assessment?
Well, Roelly's Ramy's got bigger legs, and but Roelly's got as much muscle as anyone right now. Yeah.
Arms and his lats. I mean, his back got really big. I mean, I don't think his back was ever this big.
He was big. They gave him the most muscular award. They gave him $10,000.
Oh, they did. Okay, good.
And a year subscription to the National Enquirer.
I mean, no one's got bigger shoulders.
They were going to give him a year subscription to Flex magazine, but it's only one issue. So
it's no issues now. So.
Oh, okay,
no issues. Yeah. No issues. I'm shocked. I'm just waiting for Muscular Development to close up shop with their magazine as well. I don't know. I don't know why Flex never really nurtured their online presence. I guess that's just not what American media is. It's more of a magazine. But I don't see why they couldn't translate that to an online type of a presence. It just doesn't. It
doesn't make sense, right?
They should have turned
Maybe
it.
Louis Marco. Well, Louis can go to work for them as a consultant.
Well, Louis Marco said that William Bonac was never going to place again in another show, top 5, right?
Well,
I guess he was wrong.
I should have. You know what? I haven't seen Reagan this weekend, but I spoke to Reagan by phone for an hour. Of course, he's working with me again, so we'll make that announcement.
Regan, it's Regan, Chris.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, I asked him once. He said it was.
Well, one of the guys who used to work for me does work for me. Is a pain in the ass.
He's back. He's back. Oh my God! Did you tell him? Is it true that
should we cut to the voice message from one of my tenants now?
Yeah, we probably should. I'll play it in a second. Is it true that that Regan told you that you told Regan that he doesn't need to take another anabolic for another 6 months because he's got enough in his system to last him?
No, I just I think Regan may come on your show. You got to hit Regan up for Regan.
Yeah, let's get him. Yeah, well, let's get him on now that all the hype and hoopla is over. I think he can come on and have a normal conversation with me.
Well, the hype and hoopla is over on Roelly, so let's move on.
Steve Kuclo, good.
Excellent. Most improved.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Big guy. Always had a hard time filling out that frame. It's a combination of this. It's taken him years to fill out that frame. And from the front, it's full.
Right.
From the back, he still needs time.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. But everything is there. Meaning he's from the front. Steve always used to hit a front double and it'd be like, well, what happened there? He'd like empty out. But he's filled out the pecs now where his front double looks much improved. His front lat spread's really good. Side shots are good. He's brought up his pecs. He's brought up his shoulders. He's brought up his arms. Even, his legs are better. His conditioning was really good. He just couldn't hang on the back shots.
Yeah. He looked a little flat to me. I don't know. Am I making that up?
No, it's not flatness. It's smallness. It just he's got a big frame, and there to me it's just it's like he needs another 12 pounds of muscle to be able to challenge at a show like this. That said, he was in the first call out, deserved to be in the first call out.
Fifth place,
Great showing for him. Any other pro show, of a quote lower level, he'd win it. Really impressed.
All right, let me ask you about sixth place, Lionel Beyeke, because I'm looking at the pictures. Of course, I see the first picture, the front double. I'm like, oh, this guy looks amazing, and then I start looking at the pictures and I realize that he's just not hard enough.
He's not hard enough. Glutes and hams just way off.
No, I thought he decided, because I've interviewed him before. Didn't he decide he's not going to use any more coaches? Because he looks better when he doesn't use a coach?
Dude, it...
Isn't he? I don't know why he looks better when he does his own thing. I don't know. Maybe he knows his own body.
I don't know. Nobody knows their own body. That's a bullshit.
I'm telling you. He's got, when he prays, when he does his prayer, and he looks better, I think. Man, wouldn't you love to would you work with this guy if he asked you?
I don't know.
Because I know you. You assess the guys and you say, can I help him? And will he do well?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There's, I don't know what the
You're the only person he hasn't worked with. I mean, maybe you can find the magic formula with him.
I don't know. Well, maybe
you could pull a Serge Nubret on him. Make him train for like 14 hours a day. No cardio. Just train in the gym 14 hours.
Maybe I can finagle him the passport over to Kuwait or something. Get him a visa.
Oh my God!
They would love him over there. They'd give him to like 480.
Yeah, but he'd never ever get in shape. He would never be in shape though. What happened to my dark horse pick, Justin Rodriguez? He was a Camel, didn't he? They got him over at the Camel Crew, right?
Yep, the Camels got him, and nothing worked.
No.
I mean, he looked good. I thought he looked better in New York a little bit better in New York. He was good here. It's a different lineup than New York.
Wasn't as hard, I would say.
He was harder in New York with more fullness.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so it's one thing to be harder.
Yeah.
And it's another to be fuller, but he didn't have the fullness that he had in New York, and he didn't have the hardness that he had in New York.
Well, speaking of Camel Crews, I understand you ran into Bader. Did you guys?
I did.
Did you guys talk?
Yeah, he said. No, we didn't run into him. I yelled, and I think he ran off, and I screamed at the top of my lungs, Bader, because I was feeling good because I had an Arab team and we had all straight ones.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll get to Kamal in a minute. Yeah.
Well, we had a team. I had a couple guys. The guy won the amateur as well, who was an Arab.
Oh, I didn't know that. Who won that?
Well, the middleweights was won from Saudi Arabia by Abdullah Saif.
Okay.
And he's he probably, couldn't win any show on Long Island previously, and he came in and dominated this, with probably the best condition out of. His condition was. I posted a picture up. He was absolutely in stunning condition. So
you have your own camel crew now. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, I got a few tricks up my sleeve, and so I yelled at Bader, and Bader's got one of the best smiles in the sport, and we just don't know what's behind it, Bader. And so he said, "You still mad at me?" I said, "More than ever," and he laughed.
You took a picture, right?
Yeah, I said, "Let's take a picture," and he said, "Good, we take a picture," and I said, "I'll put it on my Instagram." He said, "Tag me," and so he said something like it was a pun on me making fun of the magic mirror.
Right.
And of course, it's before prejudging because the magic mirror came, exerted its magic because Roelly did not look like those pictures.
You know what the great thing about Bader is, though? Bader doesn't take all the. I think he likes to win. Just like any football fan who would watch his football wants to see their team win. But I think at the end of the day, he actually he's okay about the whole. He gets the whole shtick.
Oh yeah, of course he does because it's another game.
Yeah.
Like he's an NFL owner. He said we got another playoff game.
Right. We got another game next week. Right? Exactly.
I
mean, he came on our show the other a week ago talking about corruption.
Yeah.
So people loved that interview. So.
And I posted up my little. I gave him a little hadith from Prophet Muhammad on my.
You gave him a little wise saying.
Alayhi salam, so people don't get mad at me. And
what does it mean?
It means peace be upon Prophet Muhammad. You should say after mention Prophet Muhammad's name, alayhi salam, or any prophet. Peace and blessings be upon him.
And you did it in Arabic too. You said right?
Yeah, I said a smile is sadaqah, which we were both beaming. Which is there's a smile is very well known. Is the least smallest act of charity or
sure.
good vibes that you can give.
Gotcha. Right. Well, smile. I mean, he's got a great smile, so that's.
Yes, he does. People already criticized him my smile. They say I'm dead serious. They said Bader's got a much better smile.
He's got the $1 million smile, or $1 billion smile.
Well, no, I was just gonna say he's got the $1 billion smile and the $1 billion bank account.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess everyone was really waiting for what happened to Dennis Wolf. Now, I watched the live webcast, and all I can say is that he looked good. He was in really good shape.
Dennis Wolf.
He just looked small.
Dennis Wolf. If you listen to this radio show, and we're always right, Dennis Wolf came in exactly as expected. He was in tremendous condition. Dennis Wolf is not done. That's the bottom line. Dennis Wolf is not done. Steve Kuclo has worked for 10 years to fill out that frame. Mm-hmm. Dennis Wolf has a massive frame. I said last week we're going to get a much downsized, in-condition Dennis Wolf. And if you know what, I use the analogy, if a mall burns down, it takes a long time to rebuild it. If you have a small home that burns down, you can rebuild it in 8 weeks.
Right.
And Dennis's issue is he's got that big frame, and it's going to take him time to get it back. But I'm telling you, condition, spot. One of his best conditions ever.
Yeah, I thought so too. I was pretty impressed.
And if someone says, "Oh, what's he talking about?" Nope. Because if you add 10 pounds of real muscle to that condition, you are looking at crazy condition.
Right.
I mean, he got shitty calls, and I understand it because, people want to see, Dennis, Wolf, the fullness there. Probably Milos would have filled him on another 40 pounds.
Yeah, he should have gotten on the Milos insulin protocol.
Actually, me and Milos talked about that after, about Dennis.
I'm sure Milos is whispering in his ear right about now. Sweeten up things.
He's not done. He's not done. He is not done. If he can,
assuming he can train the way he needs to, we don't know that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He might be afraid.
I was impressed. Actually.
He might be afraid to train heavy enough to get that muscle. He doesn't want to screw his neck up. I don't blame him for that matter. But it might take another year.
Maybe you can interview him because he don't like you. But
yeah, I don't know why. I have a whole list of people who supposedly don't like me. I would want to interview them just to ask them why they don't like me. Yeah. So, All right, let's. How is the? By the way, how is speaking of people don't like me? How is the? I saw they for the 30th anniversary of the Arnold, they brought back all the champions, obviously minus Nasser, who's no longer with us. May rest in peace. Yes, I would have not have come anyway. How'd that go? That looked exciting. I saw a video.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, it's just it's nostalgic. It's impressive. I mean, you got guys in the show, Cedric. Wolf. You got people in the show who are part of that. Dexter, who are part of that history.
What did Mike Francois have to say? I'm sure you saw him, right?
Yeah, so Mike Francois, he wears a suit once every 5 years. He wears it for the 25th rendition when they bring everyone out, and 5 years later he wore it again for this rendition.
The question is, did he wear his same suit like when he was 300 pounds? That's what Jimmy Quinn does.
He actually told me he was going to, but when we went to lunch, he was talking to his tailor, and I said, "Who's that?" That's what he told me. He said he tried on the suit from 5 years ago, and it's even bigger now than it was then.
The funny thing was, when I went to Jimmy Pilecci's mom's funeral, my wife Amanda says to me, "Who's that guy? Who's that standing in the front there?" And it was like, I see this frame, tall frame with this like gaping suit on, and I'm like, it's got to be Jimmy Quinn. Sure enough, it was. It was Jimmy Quinn wearing the same suit he probably bought when he was 350 pounds, and he was still wearing it at 215 pounds,
Yeah. Well, you should have seen Milos. Milos could have gotten back into it in a week.
Milos. Yeah, maybe we should get Milos working with Jimmy Quinn. Get him back in shape. Well, it seemed pretty exciting. It sounded like a great weekend. I really kind of miss it, and I missed the Hall of Fame ceremony. I was going to interview Ronda Rousey, so we missed a few things, but you guys did a great job with the wrap-ups, and the pictures came out great. And Rafael Noble is my MVP of the weekend because he did everything, and he got everything uploaded to me, and so congratulations to him and to you, two-man show. Now, let me ask you this question. Let's talk about the 212 for a minute. And I got to give some background first. Kamal Elgargni, who we interviewed, luckily, this past week.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny?
Yeah, we interviewed him and Sami.
Dave, nobody knows Dave.
Yeah, what does Dave know? Right,
who got the exclusive interview?
Yeah, I'm not going to even bring up my fight I have with Bob Ciccarello online, but you guys can watch the video I did on him because he launched some kind of an attack on the MD forums on me. So I don't even want to go into it. I mean, the funny thing is the guy's the athletes rep, and he's posting on MD's forums by the guy, owned by Steve Blackman, who owns all the athletes and all the photographers and all the press in the industry money.
Well, Steve was trying to bamboozle Milos and said, maybe I'll give you a column or something. I said he might give you a column. I can get paid. That was so he wouldn't do wrap-ups. I said, Milos, come on. You're doing a wrap-up with me because we're going to do an analysis, and I'm sorry, but the analysis is going to be far better with me and you than say whoever's at MD and Milos.
Yeah, well, their wrap-ups are 3 minutes long too. So, all right, let's talk about. So Kamal Elgargni comes on the show, and I know the story because the story is, and you guys who've watched the interview with him know the story. This is a 7-time world amateur champion. He's born in Libya. He represented Qatar, lives in the UK now. And Rafael Santoja, the IFBB amateur president, former, he banned Kamal for life for some reason, even though he didn't ever fail the drug test, nothing. It was supposed to be a 4-year ban. He served the ban. Then it became a lifetime. Kamal appealed to Jim Manion, who supposedly sat down last year at the Arnold with Rafael, and they supposedly hammered this out. When all was said and done, nothing got hammered out, and Rafael still didn't, give him his pro status. So now, obviously, that there's a split between Manion and Rafael. Manion gave Kamal the pro card.
It was the straw that broke the camel's back. The Kamal issue was, to some degree, it just magnified things that were brewing for quite some time.
But it just shows that I mean, obviously, Rafael, as much as I hate to say this, does not have the athlete's best interest at heart. He has his pocketbook's best interest at heart. And Kamal was very timid and held back a lot on the interview that I did with him. We made it mostly a positive interview. But, wow, that was a big sneeze. But in the wrap-up, I mean, in the interview that you...
I couldn't shut him up about that.
Yeah, you can't. He, you know what it was? Because he was so emotional over the fact that, he never showed like he was like upset really about the fact that his bodybuilding career basically was ended by Rafael.
Yeah.
But he was obviously very upset about it because now that he has been vindicated in his first pro show, he wins the Arnold Classic. I mean, now he's letting out all this frustration that he was feeling like, hey, this guy tried to ruin my life. And for no reason. They never had a run-in. It wasn't like they had a fight in a bar over a girl or something like that. So the fact that Rafael was trying to basically end this guy, or essentially did end this guy's career until Jim Manion resurrected it, is incredible because the story of him winning the show is unbelievable. I mean, the emotionality of what went on.
Well, the little bit of background is in the immediate background actually is, listeners may enjoy, is me and Roden were in England we did a tour over there a couple of years ago, like I think it was 2000, it was a couple of years back. Mm-hmm. And Kamal showed up at a gym. I've known Kamal for 26 years.
Right. Since
he was 20. And I say, Kamal, what's going on? And he was so down. He said, I want to compete one more time, just one more time. I want to get on that Arnold Classic stage. And I've been suspended for 4 years.
And let me just stop this. You know Kamal because you guys have a mutual friend in Qatar.
Yeah, we have a mutual friend in Qatar, Jassim Abdallah.
Right.
And Abdullah Dawish. And they're probably happy that I mentioned their name here. They probably get mad at me and probably not issue me a visa if I don't mention their names. and so I've known of Kamal since he was 20 because they used to tell me, okay, Kamal's getting ready for a show, and I was doing diets back then. Nobody on earth was really doing diets, right? And I'd do a diet for Jassim Abdallah. And, we'd go over different things for how to peak and sodium and these type of things. And They always talk very highly of Kamal. This is when Kamal was 20. Wow. Kamal weighed like 140.
Wow.
And so...
because he won the world championships, but he won it many different classes, not just...
Won it lightweight, light middle, all moved up. So me and Roden ran into him and he said, you're just like a regular person. And he said, I want to compete one more time. And, can you help me? I said, of course. What are you doing? And, I hadn't seen him for a long time. And so I said, I do these wacky things. Louis gets mad. Chris tells people. No, I can't do Louis' accent. Louis Marco. But, he accuses me of telling people they're going to win, which I never tell anyone they're going to win. But Kamal said, I want to do a show. I want to do Arnold Classic. I said, it's going to take you a year at least. It's going to take you a year to get your body back. And it did, Dave. It took, when he started back, it was nothing. And 3 months later, how do you look? Like nothing, And then he started to have some traction, and he was supposed to do this show last year. Mm-hmm. And I know exactly where I was in my office when he said, call me. And I called him, and he said, and he was so upset. He said, I saw Rafael at FIBO, and he told me you'll never compete again. And he said, can you help me? And at that time, he was getting ready for the Arnold. It was only like 5 weeks away, and he looked good. He looked really good, which was surprising because 10 months before, he looked like nothing. And it did take him a lot to get from nothing to okay, 5 weeks out from a pro show.
Right.
So... the real story is I never asked anyone for favors, nothing ever. I sent a picture of me. Look, I text Steve Weinberger. I said, "Can you help me with something?" I've never asked him for anything. He probably thinks what? I say, know this guy. Done it for 25 years. Really good bodybuilder, amateur bodybuilder. He's got this issue. Here's a picture of him, which I'm sure he was impressed. Can you help? And he said, I'll see what I can do. And so, that got the ball rolling with the big meeting with Rafael and Kamal and Robin Chang was there and Jim Manion. And I never really delved into it with Kamal, but it was, quote, supposed to be worked out, from there. Mm-hmm. And then, but they wouldn't let him in the show this year. And he was only 5 weeks out. So, you would think like the good thing or the right thing would have been after that meeting is, okay, he's 5 weeks out. Let him go into the show.
Sure.
And they pulled the plug, and that just like set him back mentally. It was just, because I wasn't telling him he was going to win, but I said, Kamal, you are 100% ready for this show. And, when someone tells you, you're 100% ready, you get your hopes up. You just want to get in there and that was supposed to be, Dave, his final and last show ever. You can ask him. I'm just going to do one more show. It's going to be a professional show. It's not going to be a small show. Mm-hmm. I'm only going to do one. And they pulled that from him. So that sent him in a tailspin.
Well, I'm looking at the scorecards, and I don't know if you're even aware of this. It was
a
1-point decision. Charles Dixon was winning after the prejudge.
Yes, I know that, and I know that.
And then Kamal at night at the finals won that.
You want to hear my analysis?
And then the posing round. I forgot the stupid posing round they got in there. He could have almost lost because of the posing round because Charles Dixon was better than him at the posing round.
Well, the lighting in the, here's criticism. They got to pull the plug on the prejudging for the 212s in bullshit lighting.
Well, why don't they put him on the main stage? I don't like with the open guys. I don't get it.
You know what? I'll say it again. The lighting is horrible for a bodybuilding show, and you know what? And I don't buy this.
In the expo, in the expo, you're talking
I'm not buying this. It's horrible for everybody. It sounds like that's a common sense analysis. Like, well, if it's horrible for Kamal, wouldn't it be horrible for Dixon and Jose and everyone else? No. Different bodies look different under really good lighting. Right. And I just think that the confusion of the prejudging, some of it stems every year from the lighting. I mean, I can remember being there when Jose won, and Eduardo was like sinewy, peeled, paper thin, striations on striations under the lights. There, he looked pretty good. At the night show, people like, oh, how
did we get a guy? Answer this question. Look, Kamal came out of nowhere, so he was the dark horse. We said that in the lineup, and he delivered. Dixon is a guy who barely makes the. He's always a top 5 or 6 guy. Always is dangerous. You always say this guy can win it. If he ever put it all together. To me, he didn't look that much different here than he normally does. How does he move from potentially 5th or 6th, and all of a sudden now he's vying for the win? What changed? Was it the rest of the lineup was just weak?
I'm not sure. It's a good point. I don't know, because I think he looked like he's always looks. I mean, he looked very good. I think in terms of if you're going to judge him first and prejudging, then if you're moving towards a dense power physique, then the natural person to put next from the entire prejudging would not be Kamal, but it would be Jose.
He doesn't have the prettiest physique. I mean, Dixon, he's a tank. I mean, that's his nickname. He's the tank.
Neither does Jose have the prettiest physique.
Yeah. So, I'll say one thing about Jose. You got him in great shape. He's got a great upper body, but his physique is starting to show some signs of wear and tear. I think that's the best way to put it. We know he's got a knee problem. Obviously, he's not able to train those legs the way he used to. Those legs were were Branch Warren legs at one point, and they're just not looking that crazy. And I think that's throwing his symmetry off a little bit. And I think that's what's really hurting him in these lineups. And I don't, like I said, he said this is his last year competing, so I guess he'll probably finish off the year with the Olympia at this point. And go out on top. He's still got it, But at this point, he's not getting better. He's not, and I think it's because of injuries. He's never going to admit that, obviously. But that's what I'm thinking at this point. It's amazing when you see a guy like Kamal, who's 48, 40. He's like my age, right? 49 years old.
46.
Is he 46? And he's dominant. I mean, he's just coming through. I don't know if it's because maybe his body's more rested because they haven't let him compete in 5 years.
He had 4 years off of training.
No, I know. You told me that too. Yeah, so I'm wondering if that's the case. But look, I applaud Charles Dixon for the second place. But I was impressed very much so with Sami Trudy in third place. Yeah. Another guy we interviewed this past week. What do you like and what needs improvement?
I like the structure. I like the roundness. I like the flow. He just the conditioning from behind is, he needs to improve the conditioning from behind. I actually met, and I worked with him for 9 weeks or 8 weeks running into the New York Pro Classic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Guess who recommended him?
Who?
Kamal Elgargni.
Oh, that's funny. So they're friends, huh?
Yeah.
That is funny. Well, he's, like you said, he almost looks like a classic physique guy, with a little more muscle, of course. And, I think he's going to be good if he just keeps making improvements. And like I said, if you want to watch the interview we did with him this past week, it was an excellent interview, and I learned a lot about him because he always emails me asking me questions, and I had given him my pregnancy protocol.
Yeah.
And he got his wife pregnant with it, and in like 1 month he got her pregnant, and so that's why he was able to compete so early in the year. And so we're in, we just talk and chat. He's just like a nice guy, He's just like a regular person.
He's crazy about bodybuilding too.
He watches all our programming. He's always giving me suggestions for the shows and stuff like that. So I'm very happy that he placed third. I think that's a tremendous accolade, and especially beating David Henry, who was in fourth place, and Jose, who finished in fifth. Did you speak to David Henry at all? What did you think that was wrong with him? Is he showing signs of aging? Is it just the legs?
I just, there's, the
he's
2.0.
freaky looking still.
Yeah, there's the 2.0 version of David Henry that shows, and then there's the 1.2 version. And, just this show was like 1.2. He looked good. He looked really good, but just... he
had some water on him, it looks like.
Yeah, I think he had a layer of fluid, and that threw off, like, that exaggerates, like, his legs aren't that big, but, when he's peeled, not holding water, it doesn't matter. You
know what he looks like? And I'm talking on my ass right now. I did not talk to him for 1 second. I'm going to tell you what it looks like. It looks like, when people come in really shredded, and then someone says to them, you're too dehydrated. You don't need diuretics. Don't you? You'll be fuller. And so you take their advice and you don't use diuretics. And then what happens is you don't come in as sharp. You know what I mean? That's what it looks like. It looked like he either ate too many carbs or he just maybe didn't take enough water out of himself because he figured he would be rounder. And he was rounder, but he lost that sharpness that we always see from him, especially from behind. That's what I notice. I see the pictures of Guy Sistinino, and he looked really good to me. Is it just a structure thing with him? He's just not as good?
No, Guy, and I still haven't sat down and talked with him. Guy started his prep small, much smaller than normal on January 1st.
Right.
And usually, like, 6 weeks out, Guy is banging round and hard, and, I mean... he just was behind the 8 ball, and at no point, I'm a cheerleader in some respects. Just because I love bodybuilding. I'd be like, "Guy, you look crazy round, and you look peeled." And I didn't mention any of those words until like 2 weeks out.
Right. Now, he told me you weren't even sure he was going to do it right up until
that. And he did not have like his trademark or even close to trademark glutes and hams until literally 5 days out. Right. 4 days out.
And he looks like a complete fucking lunatic with that beard, I got to tell you.
The strange thing is, Guy has the ability to win almost any show. Just take this version of Guy and add 7 more pounds of muscle on it, and you got, your top 3 easy. I'm sure of it.
Well, he'll probably hit another couple shows, and he'll probably be amazing because now that he's back into his own, so to speak, it looks like he's peaked himself. All he's got to do is keep going with what he's doing, and Guy has the ability to peak over and over and over again. So
yeah.
As long as he doesn't wind up in the hospital again, he seems to be going. He's going to the emergency room an awful lot lately. He's told me.
Well, he's still. Oddly enough, I mean, you can't see it here, but he's still covered with black and blues from that.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was a nutty thing that happened to him at that New York Pro.
Yeah.
And, it seemed like an exciting show. Let's talk about the classic physique because that was super exciting too. Now, my friend Justin Miller, who worked with Arash this time around, the day before the show, he's like, you want to make a bet? Want to bet? Because I told him, I said, Breon Ansley's going to win. I can't see when I saw this guy at the Olympia, I'm like, if this guy could beat Chris Bumstead, who I think is the most talented guy in the division, aside from Breon, obviously. I'm like, who the hell's going to beat him in this lineup? Bumstead's not in this lineup. I just don't think Arash has the firepower to beat this guy. There's too many weapons in his arsenal. He's got the waists. He's got the crazy muscle separation. He's got those ridiculous biceps. His back is unbelievable, And so Justin was like trying to prod me, and I was like, well, let's just do a handshake bet. No, I want to bet you money. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to bet. I don't bet anyway because I don't want to even get involved. So after the show, of course, I said, we pay up. But talk to me a little bit about that battle between Breon and Arash and what won it for Breon.
Breon has which he didn't hit it properly the entire time. I told Chris, I said, Chris
Cormier.
Yeah. It was funny. Breon was there and Chris was there. I said, Breon, I got to take Chris to task. We did a great interview. Did you get that interview with Breon?
Yes, it's up. It's up on the site. It's tremendous. I loved it.
Front double bicep, Breon, when he like throws the hips out and one leg up, he just really looks like hard to beat because his waist is really small.
Right.
He's got a great peak to the biceps. Stand and relax in the lineup. He potentially can almost get a little bit lost.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's not a lot of mandatory poses in this class, which is odd, which I'm sure they'll change.
Yeah, I don't know why, but yeah.
And on the front double, he's got very deep leg separation. His midsection is ideal. And the way he hits it is, ideal. Like he cocks the hips out to one side and, twists a little bit. And he's got the big peak on the biceps, so he wins that shot, hands down. So, since there's not a lot of poses, and if you win that shot hands down, then you're already in the lead.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the back double is just lights out peel. Lights out peel.
Really?
So,
okay.
Oh, yeah. His back is, there's so much to look at between the hamstrings, the mid-back, the bicep peaks, the shoulder striations. There's two poses. So what else do you really want? We really need to, look at after that.
And, once you establish this guy is the standard for the class, it's hard to unseat someone like that when they come in at their best. You know what I mean?
After speaking with him, he's got the mindset he's got the mindset, and he's got, Cormier. I told him Cormier's going to abandon you though to run to Kuwait. You do know that.
Yeah. I actually left that part. I left that part of the interview in the after the interview part where you were breaking his balls.
Yeah.
I left it in so that people can see exactly what you're talking about. It was funny. And Chris Cormier is like, I feel bad. I go there and I leave him. I strand him.
I said, good. I'll start calling Breon. If you work with me,
yeah, you got to poach him.
I can show you the side front lat spread. They don't use front lat spread, Chris. Well, I'll show you how to improve your back. They don't ask for a back lat spread. That's
funny. Isn't it funny they don't do a side tricep? Isn't that like one of the most classic poses around?
Yeah, it should. They should ask for all the poses. Why are they not asking for a front lat spread?
I have no idea. It's like, remember when with women's bodybuilding they didn't have a front lat spread in there?
Yeah.
They thought that women couldn't develop lats or something like that.
I think they're figuring it all out. They're figuring it out. But this is and this is no longer classic physique. This is a bodybuilding show.
Yeah, of course, and it should be.
That is definitely a takeaway from the weekend, that this is a hardcore bodybuilding show, for sure, and you'll see more people gravitating towards that because it's bodybuilding. It's not classic physique. It's just a weird name now.
Well,
I like the idea of classic and what that means and what to look for, but it's definitely bodybuilding.
And you can't take away from Arash, because Arash did look his best. I mean, he did all he can do. He ran into someone who has more tools, as we like to say, and as I've been saying all night, in the arsenal, so to speak. And so, congratulations. Second place at the Arnold Classic is tremendous. I know Arash wanted to win, but I think he brought a good look for himself here. Now, I don't know this third place guy, Courage Opara.
Dangerous.
Yeah, great structure, huh?
Yeah, very dangerous. If
dark horse in this lineup.
Yep, yeah. If he was in better condition, he would have landed in second for sure.
Danny Hester, fourth place, former first Classic Olympia champ. Deserve it? Not? Yes? No?
Pictures won't show it because because they're under that shit lighting in the in the expo hall. But paper thin skin, tremendous condition. Yeah, I think he deserved that place. Maybe one spot lower, but he was. There was some good guys. Let's talk.
I like Kevin Ford, the fourth place guy. We featured him before.
Kevin Ford looked tremendous
on Muscle in the Morning.
Great condition, classic body, very muscular details, put together the right way. Definitely deserved that position. Probably, I probably would have had him. I probably would have had Hester. I think fifth.
Yeah. Danny Union in the sixth position. So congratulations to those guys. In the
Danny Union had more classic lines than he can move up a lot in that class.
He's like a little mini Bumstead, I always call him.
Yep.
Right? He's got the same vacuum, very similar physique.
Technically, you could have plopped him into number 2.
Really? Okay, so he was that good. Okay, I wasn't sure about his conditioning level from the pictures. I can't really tell.
Yeah, it was good. His condition was good. Very good.
Let's talk about one of the most exciting new classes because of this one competitor or two competitors in this class, and we're talking about women's physique, and I'm talking about Shanique Grant. We call her the next Linda Murray. She wants to be called the next Shanique Grant. Chris, you're a fan of her physique. I know that. You were there up in that front row. How good was she at this show?
Just, her shape looks like, she's got a Barbie doll shape. You know how they make the Barbie dolls with the big busts and the...
in ridiculously small ways, yeah.
Ridiculously small waist.
Right.
If she's like, you know how Betty Weeder had that small waist?
Yeah.
She's like, a modern day Betty Weeder with delts.
Crazy.
Very impressive. She's the most cartoonish looking person standing relaxed in the IFBB right now.
We always talk about the Candice Lewis, Latoya Watts, Sydney Gillen in the figure division. Is she more impressive, like from a freak standpoint? Like that structure?
No. I think Candice is actually crazy to look at.
Who wins the front double bicep between Candice Lewis and...
Candice Lewis smokes her.
Really? You think even though she's a little
muscle
small?
On her. She's got more muscle. Candice Lewis at this show was an anomaly.
Wow.
She looked ridiculous.
We're talking about figure division.
I think previously I thought that Sydney was like the it person in that class.
Right.
So to unseat her.
Well, I think Candice was off at the Olympia a little bit, and I think that's why Sydney probably won. Although Sydney's a great competitor as well. I think that Candice does have a lot more muscle maturity. She's been doing it a lot longer. And I'd love to see Shanique and Candice hit a front double bicep against each other. That would be pretty cool. I was talking with Amanda. We were debating this. I said to myself, I think that Shanique Grant, if she did that Wings of Strength, that show that they have for the women bodybuilders where they give away all that money, if she did that show, I think she could win it. What do you think?
No, because she don't have.
Not enough muscle.
She's petite.
Okay, so I'm just not seeing it.
Yeah,
it's an illusion. She's bamboozling me. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. She's very petite. So the answer is no.
Okay, so she can't beat Helen Nelson.
No.
Okay. I'd still like to see it. I'm not sure if we saw him mano a mano, but
yeah, I'm sending you a picture of someone with a lot of magic muffins in their delts right now, but I don't mention it.
Let's talk about Natalia Coho, who moved up from figure also, just like Shanique this past year. Won her first pro show in her first attempt. This girl, we always said it, in figure she had the craziest conditioning I've ever seen. The girl's got striated glutes. I mean, she's really good. But Shanique is so good that she almost made her look bad, dare I say.
Agreed with you, yeah.
And I'm sure if Shanique wasn't there, she would have easily won the show, right?
Yeah, oh, no doubt about it.
Crazy. What would you like to see her do to improve? More muscle? Too flat? Is she too flat because she's so hard?
Yeah. She could come in a little bit heavier and,
a little fuller, I think, a little rounder. Because she's always going to be the hardest girl up there.
Yeah. Well, it's not always about hardness,
Right. Well, I think sometimes when people get too hard, sometimes they lose some of that shape. We were talking about Cedric McMillan, Dennis Wolf, because they have big structures, But it happens with the women, too. If the women come in a little too hard, they look angular almost, if that makes
angular.
sense.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Speaking of angular, we can't say it on the air, but you just look at the magic muffin in this delt I just sent you.
Is this? Oh, you texted it to me?
Yeah.
Right, hold on, I'm looking. Oh yeah, it's pretty bad. I'm not going to say who it is because then the person will then we'll have another person who hates us.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the figure for a second because Candice Lewis, who was the defending champion from last year, who did not win the Olympia. Okay, Sydney Gillen won the Olympia, taking away Latoya Watts' title. Latoya not in this lineup. It was kind of a two-woman race between Candice Carter and Sydney Gillen. Candice wins. Why does Candice win?
She won because she was harder without looking hard.
Right. To me, it looked like Sydney was not as tight as she was at the Olympia.
No, she was not. Was not.
And that's a problem because these girls are so close now.
Yep.
She did here, Sydney, what Candice did at the Olympia. Candice was too smooth for the Olympia, and Sydney made the same mistake Candice made, and they flip-flopped positions.
Yes. Yeah.
To me, it was the two of them and everyone else. Would that be accurate?
Oh, yeah.
Which for me means that Heather Dees won the show because Heather was third. And, I mean, she's really been dominant the last two times we've seen her at the Olympia. Now we see her at the Arnold. I mean, she can't do any more to maximize her physique at this point because these other girls are just in another league by themselves.
Yeah, no, it's a perfect analysis. It was like 1-2, and then a distance, and Heather Dees who looked fantastic, and then the field. Interesting.
Well, Heather found a way to recreate herself, and she's back in the top echelon of the figure division. So that's a great feather in her cap. Whitney Jones wins the fitness. Was the fitness just not the same, Chris, without Oksana Krishina?
No, I mean, it was still exciting. I mean, the routines were all very good. Of course, you didn't have the Oksana, freak routine, but it was good. It was entertaining.
Mm-hmm. The feel good placing of the show would have to be Dorena Wilson in sixth place, who's battling breast cancer, and she actually postponed her surgery till after the show. So. Yeah, she'll be going into for surgery to get that removed, and
you should have her on live with.
We'll get her on after the surgery.
Yeah, very, great human interest story.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd like to hear it.
I don't know how she focused on getting ready for the show. It had to be playing on her mind. I know it would be messing my head up quite a bit.
Yeah, of course.
So you got to take your hat off to her. I mean, that's tremendous for her. Ariel Kadar finishing in fifth, Regina De Silva fourth, Bethany Wagner third, and Kate Arrington, who I really didn't know very much about. That's got to be the surprise, I guess, dark horse of the show in the fitness division here. How was her routine? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
No, you probably weren't even watching if I know you.
Well, no. The problem is you go to these shows and there's just so much to see and you get visual overload.
Well, you watch the physique round, but then you probably you don't see the fitness round. And unfortunately, in the fitness division, it's 75% of the score, or 2/3 of the score.
I watched Bethany Wagner's routine because she did a routine to Elvis, and I'm a big Elvis.
I didn't know you were a big Elvis fan.
Oh, huge! Elvis and Michael Jackson. They're like they both died young.
I know. All the great stars did die young.
Exactly where I was when Elvis died and Michael Jackson.
Where were you when Elvis died?
I was coming down the stairs from my my bedroom when my mother said, just heard on the radio, that Elvis died. And the reason why, Dave, Elvis' last concert was to be held in Portland, Maine. Not his last concert, but he was coming to Portland, Maine.
Were you going to go?
He lived. And my mother used to take me every single day up to drive around the Civic Center where they were holding the concert, and people were camped out for 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
With tents.
Didn't know that. Not you, though.
No, but they were camped out in tents for 2 weeks, waiting in line, living on the sidewalk, waiting to get tickets.
Yeah, the good die young, that's for sure. You know. Bikini, Angela Teixeira. She was the defending champion here, and she was also the Olympia champion, so she wins that rather unanimously. And Janet Laig, obviously, in second, Casey Samsel third. Romina Basualdo fourth, and Jennifer Ronzitti, who was second at the Olympia, finishes in that fifth position with Brina Martinez in sixth. So a tough bikini lineup, as always, at this Arnold. And my good friend, I can't wait to talk. Andre Ferguson is, I call him the Muhammad Ali of men's physique. I mean, the greatest interviewer of all time. I mean, the guy is just so supremely confident in himself, and he's not afraid to call out the other guys and say it like it is. And you know, I think people thought he was a joke when he first started. And this guy said, look, I'm just getting started. If you saw how he goes, I don't even prepare for these shows. Wait till I start getting serious. He goes, everyone's in trouble. And you know what? He delivered. The guy won like 4 or 5 shows last year. He won in Medellin, Colombia 2 weeks ago. And now he's the Arnold Classic champ. He was second at the Olympia last year. This guy could threaten to win the Olympia title this year, especially given the fact that Jeremy Buendia tore a pec. And he's nursing that. So, I mean, how dominant was he, Chris?
Easy win.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you're saying easy. He beat Raymond Edwards, and he beat Brandon Hendrickson, who won the show 2 years ago. So it was not an easy win by any chance, because he beat some very, very good competitors.
Well, they were great competitors, but it was a convincing win.
Really? It was him and everyone else?
Yeah.
All right.
I thought so.
Congratulations, Andre. We'll get you on the show this coming week, and I'll let you mouth off and tell me all the great stuff about yourself and I'm sure he always has controversy. There's always something that someone's breaking his balls about. So we'll get him on, and I can't wait to hear it all, because it's always very entertaining when it's involving Andre Ferguson. But congratulations to Raymond in that second spot, and Brandon, of course, third. And Logan Franklin finishing fourth, George Brown fifth, and Steve Chow sixth. You know, Brandon Hendrickson promised me that he was going to be going up to bodybuilding at some point, and I still see him in men's physique. So, Brandon, I'm calling you out on this. When are you going to move up to that classic physique division? This guy's got legs. I don't know if you've ever seen Brandon Hendrickson's legs, because they're always covered up. He's got legs. He's got a physique like an athlete. It's unbelievable. I'd love to see him on a classic stage. I think he'd be very, 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 very tough to beat. But you know what? When you have a home in men's physique and you're doing so well, I guess it's hard to leave the division. You know.
Yeah.
Look what happened to Sadiq when he left. You know, he's good at classic, but he's not as good as he was at the men's physique level. So. Yeah.
No.
Well, it was a great show. I know it's one of those weekends people just have no idea. They go so freaking fast. You barely remember what happened, and then you just feel utterly exhausted. I know you're probably so happy we're getting the interview done, the radio show done, on Saturday night, so you can just crash on Sunday. And
well, my flight leaves at 6, so I'll be right.
You're leaving in a few hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you to the Lorimas, Arnold, and the whole crew out there for treating us like family, as they always do. They always open up their doors to us. They give us whatever press credentials we need. They always ask me if there's anything they can do to help us out. Bill Duke over there at the media center helped us out with some internet issues.
I have to say, Dave, I was treated by Matt Loris. Thank you very much, Matt. Remarkably well.
Matt's been doing that for years. He's been helping us out.
Yeah, I thought he might not even know who I was. He might have been confused.
No, he knows everything. He knows everything. He loves all. You know, if you remember Matt was actually at the Olympia this year.
No.
Taking pictures.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you think is going to, if you had to make a prediction in, say, 10 years, 5 years from now, what's going to happen with this whole Arnold, aligning with the NPC for Australia and the USA, and then he's aligned with this Raphael division for the other Arnolds? You think that's going to come to an end?
The Raphael thing will come to an end.
I think so, too. I really do.
And it'll come to an end sooner than later. Far sooner than later.
I do, too.
I give it 6 months.
Yeah. 6 months. Wow. Okay. We'll see. We'll see if you're right. Now, there was a woman who actually, someone sent me this story. There was a woman who accused the Arnold Festival of discrimination.
What?
Beth Mandic is a bodybuilder from New York who's won local competitions and placed in national events. Ironically enough, the girl, if you look at the picture of the girl, she looks like a women's physique competitor. She's got a nice physique, and she's pissed off that they don't offer women's bodybuilding anymore. So she's saying that it's discriminatory.
Get a fucking life.
And so Brett Lalonde, who runs, he's the spokesperson of the festival. He says that the women's bodybuilding event was dropped in 2013, obviously because they weren't getting the people in it. And they obviously now have women's physique. So Lalonde also say he offered that the Arnold Festival has 6 other competitions for women. They got physique, they got figure, they got bikini. It's really not, they don't need bodybuilding anymore. And she says that in bodybuilding, competitors pose with their arms curled and flexed biceps, and that's what she wants to do. So I don't know if she's suing. But she's filing, suits and all kinds of craziness. What's wrong with these people, Chris?
Shame on the lawyers who take it. Shame on the lawyers. I don't blame her. Shame on the lawyers who just chasing, phoniness. Shame on her lawyer. Get her lawyer's name so that we can shame him publicly, or her.
Listen to this. On January 5th, Mandic filed a gender discrimination complaint with the Columbus Service Center, which operates the city's 311 helpline. In response, sent 2 weeks later, Mayor Andrew Gint, the mayor actually got involved. His deputy chief of staff, Kenneth Paul, wrote, quote, "In speaking with the event organizer, we were informed that there is nothing to prevent you," meaning this girl, "from competing in women's physique in bare feet," because they don't wear heels. Further, none of the competitors in this division of the competition are required to wear heels. I guess that was one of our complaints also. The response does not address the lack of women's bodybuilding, although another email from Lalonde to Paul says it's clear that there's no gender bias at the festival. Lalonde also said that there has been no action on the complaint and no evidence to date that the complaint has any merit. So I guess maybe she dropped it after she realized she wasn't going anywhere. There's always someone who's not happy. You ever noticed that, Chris? There's always someone who's not happy.
Yeah, that's
can't please everyone.
If it wasn't this, she'd be suing for something else.
Exactly. Well, there's always someone who's got to complain. It's just par for the course, And unfortunately, there's always someone who wants to make a positive situation into a negative.
We got to save the quote of the week for next week. It's getting late. We got to save my tenant's voicemail for next week.
I was going to give you a quote of the week anyway. I had it right here.
Give it to me.
It's a little long, but I'm going to read it anyway. It's basically about how people always ask me, how do you stay so positive? How do you things are going to go right for you? And I say, well, your thoughts create your reality. It's just not instantaneous. It's not like you wave your magic wand and you want $1 million and the $1 million is there. That's just not how it works. So here's the quote. "What I think and how I feel and what manifests is always a vibrational match. But here's the kicker. What manifests isn't manifesting instantaneously. So you've got all this buffer of time that makes you sloppy. If you thought a negative thought and a brick would instantly fall on your head every time, you'd clean up your thinking, wouldn't you? But you're not here to be punished about your thinking. You're here to use your thinking and your focus to create what you want." And you know what? I'm sure people thought that William Bonac was a nutcase when he told people that he was going to win the Olympia one day in the open class. And you know what? Look what he's created. But it hasn't happened overnight. And I think that's what people have to understand. You have to pick a goal, stay focused on it, and never, ever let anyone negatively tell you can't do it. And just never take that out of your head, because manifestation doesn't happen immediately. It happens through time and practice and effort. And on that note, that's going to take us to the end of another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. Until next week, remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
Good night, everyone, and thanks, Chris, for a great Arnold Classic weekend and coverage for this event in 2018, and hopefully back in 2019 I'll be back in action. 911 now!